The whole cause of the famine, as is today, and will probably was because of our disobedience that God had to even send the famine. So to this day, we look around and all of the things that he said would happen. It's not rumors of wars now. There's wars. There's wars that we can't even fight. That's not even military now. Chemical, biological things that are happening, and a lot of it is because of our disobedience. So we move on. The next section is entitled "My Name Is Bitter." Bitter, she was saying. So, but even in this bitterness, we see that she was still able to show faith. Even in her bitterness, she was able to show that God lives and what God can do. And these were women, like I say, from Moab. I'm not sure of their religious background, what they believe. I know Naomi. I'm sorry. I know Ruth declared later on in this lesson that, look, I will go and your people will be my people and your God will be my God. But at this current time, I don't know what her. But as we say, God is always working because He had to be working in Ruth at that time. And before, I wanted to go back. I couldn't even find, like, beforehand what was Ruth's character coming up or background, but she seems to be a woman of commitment, of, a godly woman in the city from Moab. So, we're guilty of that day. I guess, all people, even though Moab was a pagan nation, I guess everybody from Moab wasn't practicing that or of that belief, and we can take that on today because I'm critical. I go certain places and I see, and I shouldn't be. I see certain people of ethnic groups dressed a certain way, and I'm on alert. When everybody, all people from Hamas, all of them are not bad. All of them are not. God's got to be working in somebody over there, and in those religious, and in those cults, and in those divisions. So, we go back to God can use whoever, He uses or wants to use. I'm sorry, Sister Farah, did you have something? She had to be something. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes, 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 yes. I got you. I got you. That's all right. She had to be a leader. That's right. That's right. Faith. Faith. That's right. That's right. And as we go on, we'll talk a little about the other one was Orpah, and we talked about her in the lesson too. That we don't think as we go down later on. We'll wait for that. We'll wait for that. We'll get down. But as we get back now, we say, "My name is bitter." As we go to the 11th through the 15th verse, but Naomi said, "Return home, my daughters. Why would you come with me? Am I going to have any more sons who can become your husbands? All right? Return home, my daughters. I am too old to have another husband. Even if I thought there was still hope for me, even if I had a husband tonight, then gave birth to sons, would you wait until they grew up? Would you remain unmarried for them? No, my daughters, it's more bitter for me than you, because the Lord has turned against me." Now, even at this time, as her feeling that the Lord turned against her, I never heard her say she turned away from the Lord. And she stayed with them. And even in that bitterness, a lot of times when we're bitter, I mean, let's be honest. The saying misery loves company didn't come from nowhere. So a lot of times when we're busy, when we're bitter, we don't really care a lot about the next person. Sometimes, we want them to be bitter because we're bitter. But that in this case, with Naomi being bitter. And she was bitter due to the fact that at least, you guys can go back home. You guys can remarry. You guys can have kids, preferably sons. Sons, kids, and husbands was big at that time. And you guys can go back. You still have a chance. And, I wonder, it comes up a lot of times. I see this in blindness. Is it better to have known and lost something, or to have never had it at all, like blindness? Is it better for the person who used to could see, but now can't see, as opposed to a person who never could see? And I was looking at that on you look at YouTube and all of that, and it was widely suggested that for the person who could see and lost the ability to see, they felt it was worse than the person who had never, ever seen. Because, we would say, well, hey, if they never seen, they never knew. But, but here, yes. So here's something, we got to think about this time. Naomi was a person, when she left there, she had a husband. She had 2 sons. So, back then, there was someone to take care of her financially, worldly, and her husband. And then her kids, her sons, who could look after her and take care of her as she went on. Now she has nothing. She has 2 daughter-in-laws, and she feels by the state that she's in right now that, hey, I can't. So she's thinking, I can't have any kids now, so I can't do anything for it. There were some laws back then, too. That, the one of them, I think, was called the Levitate laws, where you could, even if it would go down the line, so you could stay in the family. And the brother, we was talking about that today, in today's world. Minister Gideon, in today's world, I don't know. I know it might be for the better. I don't know about my brothers. I don't know if I want my brother laying up with my wife after, And look, it was a reason. It was a reason. And still it was a reason, though, that lawfully that we didn't see and we didn't abide by. We look at it from a worldly and physical, but actually there was a law. But then you look at this whole thing, even the relationship that Naomi and Ruth had. In-laws, it's hard for families to get along sometimes. In-laws is really, that can be a up or down, you talking about the Hatfields and the McCoys in the same family, them in-laws. But here we have a biblical text here where we see that there was a true relationship. In this script here, as we go on in the lesson, and you see how Ruth was blessed, and the blessing ended up trickling down to Naomi because of her relationship with Ruth, that they told her, look, by Ruth having a child later on, that's outside of this lesson, but later on, by her having, that child, it gave Naomi, everything that she wanted. And they told Naomi, this is like you having 7 sons. The relationship that you have with Ruth and her having this one child is worth you having 7 sons. Now, here's a person that lost her husband and her 2 sons. Thought she lost everything. That's complete, see? So, and then too, she gave up a lot of herself. Sometimes we say things, like I say, when we try to give people advice and say things, sometimes we say things and we tell them what we want to tell them, or we'll tell them what that we think was good for them instead of what the Lord said or what God. We'll tell them, so we don't tell them the truth. Sometimes we tell people things that's not the truth because we don't want them to, whatever reason, we don't want them to know the truth. Maybe I don't want you to come back with me. You know, after tell that, just go back. I'm gonna give all kind of reasons. I thought of a story when I was little. My dad might not remember this. Orange juice. Everybody, Lawson's was out then. Lawson's was out.